Hey there. Welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 81.
He's Mike.
He's Chad. And the toys that we're going to talk about today are some Super 7 Ultimates that have been kicking around for a while because it's now February. I got these late last year. And I did mention them briefly in my kind of best of the year videos. One of them, I think, made my best of the year list. Did it? I don't even remember now, to be honest with you.
Soundwave.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about those because I felt they deserved their own little showcase. This might be a short video, but
that's okay.
Yeah. But anyway, before we do that, it is Friday night.
Friday, February 7th.
Yeah. Normally we're shooting these on like, I don't know, Monday or Sunday or whatever. I was thinking I might pour myself a drink. You want a drink?
I wouldn't say no.
So here's something like I don't know if I call myself a big drinker, but I do drink pretty much every weekend or whatever, and have been doing so since I was like 15 years old. I'm not picky about what I drink. Like I'll drink pretty much any brand of beer. I don't like stouts, but otherwise, I'll drink whatever beer. I like vodka. I like rum. I like coolers. My friend makes fun of me for drinking those little like girly coolers all the time. Mike's Hard Lemonade. In Canada we have these really bright neon blue things called Revs, which I love. That everybody, gives me, bust my chops about that. Another thing I love, liquor aside, like I don't like cherry, blueberry, raspberry stuff. I only like lemon. I only eat lemon pie. I only eat like lemon danishes, lemon tarts. Anything with that like lemony. I love
lemon loaf.
I love lemon stuff, and I don't like any other stuff. Anyway, maybe it was sometime during the pandemic. It was like a couple of years ago. I went to a poker game, and we were all like, I brought beers, and then one of the guys who I'd never met before, he showed up, and he pulled this bottle of bright yellow alcohol out of his bag, and I was like, what is that? And he's like, oh, my dad makes his own limoncello. And I'm like, limoncello? And I don't know if I'm just a moron, but I don't know how I've never heard of limoncello before.
I've never heard of limoncello.
I had never heard of it. And I was like, what is this? And he was, I forget where he was from, like South American or something. I think it's an Italian drink or something, but maybe anyway, it's just not, I've never heard anybody ever mention it. I've never seen anybody ever serve it. And I was like, limoncello, let me try that. And I was the only one at this particular poker game that wasn't driving. It's because I had to drive with my buddy. So everybody else was kind of like nursing their beers, but he was like, yeah, if you like it, help yourself. And I was pouring shot after shot of this limoncello shit, and I got wasted. And it was delicious. It was just like, it tastes like lemon pie filling that gets you drunk. So anyway.
I love lemon pie filling.
Me too. Anyway, so for my birthday, just a couple weeks ago, Miguel bought me a bottle of limoncello, and I was like, where did you get this? He's like, the liquor store. I'm like, they sell this at the liquor store? Like, again, maybe I'm just dumb and naive, but I've looked through entire liquor stores. I don't ever remember seeing a bright yellow limoncello. I think I would have bought it before because I love lemon stuff. Anyway, I was at the liquor store just the other day, like 2 or 3 days ago, and I went and I saw it, and they have limoncello there, and I'm like, yeah, it's here. I don't know if maybe we just started carrying it, or maybe I've just somehow never noticed it. But anyway, so I've got a bottle of limoncello. I haven't opened it. Do you want to try some limoncello with me?
Sure.
All right. It's in the freezer. You're supposed to just drink it straight out of the freezer. I'll pour us a glass of limoncello, and we'll be back to talk about some Transformers.
Time out.
Yeah.
Smells like lemonade.
Okay, so I didn't know how much to pour
I'm
here.
in.
So I just gave us a little bit each, but we can go for a second one.
Cheers, brother.
So yeah, some limoncello. It's got some kick. It's 30% alcohol.
Not bad.
Yeah, but it does have that. Yeah.
Lemon meringue.
Yeah, very lemony.
I wasn't expecting it to be so strong. I thought it was like,
yeah, sorry.
You're like, you sip it. You drink it.
You are supposed to.
So like,
I think you either would do it as a, I don't know, you do it as a shot, or you would sip it. So yeah, that's why I went with I didn't fill our glasses. Yeah. I thought, we're going to sip on this guy. You still have to drive home, so.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, it basically, even though it's got that lemony sweetness, it's kind of the equivalent of like just drinking whiskey straight.
Oh yeah,
I feel it in my whole throat.
I can feel it right here.
Yeah. Woo. All right.
Yeah.
So I got a full bottle of that. So yeah, you guys probably won't see the after effects, but if I polish that thing off tonight, I could be in some trouble.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. So yeah, Transformers Ultimates. So I have mixed feelings about this line.
Me too.
I like I am a fan of Super7 as a company. I buy their reaction figures, and I first became familiar with them because they took over the license of Masters of the Universe Classics from Mattel, and they kind of gave us a few waves of figures, and some of their figures, like Dial-A-Mug here, for example. This was one of the I don't want to knock everything over, but anyway, trust me, they did some really cool Masters of the Universe characters. And I kind of wish they had carried on the line, but Mattel took the license back so they could launch their Origins line and whatever. But anyway, so once they lost the Masters of the Universe line and they went on to Thundercats and then Ninja Turtles, and they've done Ultimates of all kinds of stuff. I've sampled a few of them. I'm not a huge Thundercats guy, but I bought a few of them. I like the Conan Ultimates. I have a few of those. Some other odds and ends. I have quite a few of their Turtles. But then they decided to do G.I. Joe and Transformers. And I had mixed feelings because I love G.I. Joe and Transformers are two of my favorite brands. When it comes to things like Conan and Thundercats, I felt comfortable picking and choosing. You really only need like one Conan figure. Thundercats, I was only really planning on buying Lion-O and Mumra, the main guys. I ended up getting a few more, but when it comes to G.I. Joe, and I would want them all.
Yeah. And
Super7's Ultimate figures in Canada, like they're 55 US. In Canada, they're 75 to 80 bucks. And even now, our comic shop sells them for like $100 a pop. And they're not worth $100. Because, yeah, they're about 8 inches tall. They're a little bigger than the standard figures we buy. And sure, they tend to have lots of accessories, but most of it is just junk you throw in a bin anyway. Like, I don't need a character to have 12 different sets of hands. And a lot of times the characters from the cartoons have all these very specific accessories from like one episode. Like I have the Optimus Prime Ultimates figure. I've got him right here. And again, I think he looks great. Some people it's a non-starter right off the bat because he doesn't transform. That doesn't bother me. I have a transforming Optimus Prime over there.
You don't transform yours anyway.
I've never transformed any of my Transformers. As a kid, sure. But since I've been collecting as an adult for like the last 20 years, I buy a Transformer. Most of them come in robot mode. They go right on my shelf. If they come in car mode, I turn them into a robot. They go on the shelf. So yeah, I don't care that they transform. One of the great things about the Ultimate line is that they can get that cartoon aesthetic because they don't have to worry about the transforming aspect of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this guy here, you see I've got him. He's got his gun in his hand. He's got his jetpack under the back because that just fits on there. It's nice and snug. And I use some stick tack to stand Spike, the human, his friend on
Mr. Witwicky.
Yeah. But otherwise, he came with a basketball and a surfboard and just a bunch of stuff that he used for like 30 seconds in one episode of the cartoon. And it's like, how many people out there are really going to display their Optimus Prime on a surfboard or with a basketball?
How can robots even surf? Like, what if they fall in the water when they...
They can, yep.
Short circuit?
No. But anyway, so that's the thing. They kind of use that to justify the price. Like, oh, you get all the accessories you could ever want. And I'm like, and way more than I would ever want to. So anyway, I've got a few of them. I've had this Optimus Prime for like 2 years now or something. And because this was wave 1. And I love it, but I also, it was really disappointing. Like, he barely moves. Like, his arms can only bend like this far. It's just very limited articulation. Like I said, way overpriced because I get all that junk I don't need. He looks like he just stepped right out of the cartoon, and he looks great. But it definitely made me think, I don't really need to buy all of these, and it deterred me from collecting the G.I. Joe ones.
Yeah.
I was like, even though the G.I. Joe ones look nice, and standing on a shelf, they look great, I'm very happy with the classified figures Hasbro's putting out. I don't need to collect all these characters again. And plus the fact that I'm buying the reaction figures of G.I. Joe, and those capture the cartoon looks for a lot cheaper, I'm fine with getting the reaction figure. So I passed on G.I. Joe Ultimates altogether. Anyway, I'm now kind of worried, and I guess I don't know if I even care, but the Transformers and the G.I. Joe Ultimates line, I think, are both dead.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't collect the Transformers or G.I. Joe ones.
Yeah, they haven't put up any new pre-orders for a year or more. Mm-hmm. Now, they still do the odd one. Like, they had a G.I. Joe one recently at the for like San Diego Comic-Con, but it was just a repaint of Snake Eyes. So I could see them maybe repainting and giving us his Optimus Prime again in his like Nemesis Prime colors, just because they already have they paid for the mold, they might as well reuse it and repaint it. But I don't see them going very deep. And it's always frustrating to start a line and then have it sputter out before it really. Not that they would ever. Yeah, not that they would ever complete all the Transformers, but at least give me the core group from the original year of Transformers and stuff. Anyway, so I have I think the full first wave. I have Optimus Prime, Bludgeon, and what's the other guys? Bunzai-tron,
and Soundwave.
And then I got from the next. There was another 2 waves after that, which I kind of picked and chose. I got Soundwave. Well, Soundwave is actually one of the ones we're going to talk about today. I forget who I've got. I've got a handful.
Yeah,
I've got Grimlock, and anyway, whatever. So
Coronation Starscream.
No, I didn't buy that one.
You didn't buy that one.
I didn't buy any of the Starscreams, actually. I'm not as big a Starscream fan as you are.
You did buy one.
Well, that's the thing. So when I said we were going to do this episode tonight, for your birthday last year, I bought you, which was just in December. So I bought you Ultimates Starscream. And then for Christmas, I got you Ultimate Destro. From the G.I. Joe line.
Yeah.
So I said, you should bring them over tonight so we can like do an episode on the Ultimates.
I had one job. What do you think I forgot?
Ooh. Have you opened them?
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
I know, right?
Yeah. So I haven't handled, because I didn't see him open, your Starscream. But this here is the Starscream from Hasbro's Red line, which was a line that is also defunct, which was disappointing, because I liked this line too. And it was their line of non-transforming Transformers. The red stand for Robot Enhanced Design. So, compared this one to the one I got you, how do you think that the Ultimate one holds up? Obviously bigger.
It's bigger. Because I don't have a lot of Ultimates, I appreciate them for what they are. And like Starscream and Destro are my dudes. I love them. Starscream, arguably my favorite Transformer, and Destro is right up there with Cobra Commander. So it's nice. It's nice to have.
Yeah.
But just like I have a drink here.
Yeah.
Just like you were talking about with Optimus, though, I'm not sold on the articulation, and it bothers me that these things can cost up to $100 Canadian, and they're limited. Like the shoulders. You have problems with that. I know that's the first thing you ever said about that Optimus.
It's the elbows, really, more than anything.
It's the elbows, but sometimes the shoulders don't go up because it's so blocky.
Well, so with Bunzai-tron and with Bludgeon, because they have shoulder pad spikes, their shoulders can only kind of go like this. And you want an action figure to be able to do this. Yeah. And like Optimus Prime has a gun. You want to be able to hold his gun like at a 90-degree angle, but his elbow kind of only goes like this. And it's weak. So... And I know there's a way they could have designed that it would work.
I would say that I do prefer my Ultimate over this one. However, this is a nice figure.
He's nice. The thing with I found he was very gummy feeling for whatever reason. Although Super7 uses some weird plastic choices too.
Sometimes it's like a smooth matte finish.
And sometimes it's also very very hard and brittle, like almost like hollowy plastic. And it's a weird mix of materials on the same figure. And you're like, what is going on with this?
And again, if you're paying, up to $100, I want consistency with the plastics they're using, and
so with Optimus here again,
the legs are
like this crotch piece. We'll just call it his diaper. It allows for him to do the splits a little bit, but it's just rubber. So like this rubbery bit here, it just contorts. So if I wanted to display him on my shelf like this, like let's say I had him on his surfboard, so I had him with this wide stance, I'm worried that this rubber will not go back to where it's supposed to go, and he'll end up with these sides that are puffed out, or that it'll split. It might do that in time anyway, because it just feels like the kind of material that would. And like, yeah, he doesn't have rocker ankles, so if you want to spread his legs out, you can't twist his ankle to make him stand on a surfboard like that. His feet would end up being sideways. Yeah, it's strong.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about, at least not that Optimus Prime. So these figures, I think they're from 2 different waves, to be honest with you. So I think it's maybe wave 3 and 4, or maybe wave 4 and 5, whatever it was. So there's a character that was a newly created character for the comic books, the IDW comic books, called Tarn. And he was the leader of the DJD, which was the Decepticon Justice Division, and they hunted Decepticons that have betrayed the Decepticon cause. So they were like extra bad guys, and they were super brutal. The comic book would show them catching Decepticons and like grinding them up in like a meat grinder or something. And anyway, so I loved Tarn. I was like, I hope this guy gets a figure someday.
Yeah. Every time I look at you and you talk, all I can smell is lemon, and it's just like I can smell how strong that is off your breath.
It's strong, yeah.
Woo, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, so then Super 7 announced they were going to put Tarn in their Ultimates line, and I was like, yes, I'm excited to finally get a Tarn. But then, in the time that I pre-ordered Tarn from Super 7, Hasbro announced they were going to do a Tarn. They put it up for pre-order, and then they released it, and I had it in my hands. And all that happened before the Super 7 one had come out, even though they announced theirs first.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with this Tarn figure. Like, it's very cool. I like the way it poses. I like the size of them. This one does actually transform because it's a Hasbro figure. I've never transformed him, but even for a figure that does transform, he doesn't have any extra kibble hanging off of him. He doesn't have any blank spots. Sometimes Transformers, you turn them around and their back's all blank. The back of their arms are hollowed out. Like, yeah, you can't tell. There's none of that on here. So Tarn is like a really cool transforming toy. And I think around the same time I was getting this Tarn is I'd already been disappointed with my Wave 1 Transformers. I was like, they don't move very well. Some of the joints are like loose. They're overpriced. And so I canceled my Tarn. It kind of broke my heart because it looked really cool in the digital renders. But I was like, I've already got this Tarn. I don't need that one. But anyway, just before Christmas this year, I saw that the Ultimate Tarn from Super 7 was now discounted on Amazon. And my brother Doug was asking me, what do you want for Christmas? Like, tell me what to buy your toy. I was like, well, if you want to get me this Tarn, that'd be pretty cool. So that's what happened. Doug bought me the Ultimate Tarn, and I got him here. And again, I think he looks great.
Yeah.
He matches the digital render. Like, he's huge and imposing. Again, I'll do a split screen here.
That gun is huge.
But like, even compared to he towers over the Hasbro one. And he's just like big. Man, I love the fact because he turns into like a tank of sorts.
Like the treads.
And the fact that the treads give him these big, really broad shoulders, it just makes for a really cool silhouette. Like, he looks tougher than like Megatron or Shockwave or any of those guys because he's just got these big football shoulders on him. So yeah, looks great. I am glad I got him after initially canceling my pre-order because I never felt good about doing it. But like right off the bat, you can see, look at his legs. Look at how loose.
They're so loose.
Just dangle those around, those legs just swing around. He's also got that rubbery diaper crotch thing. He doesn't have rocker ankles, so even though his legs can spread apart,
they don't move.
His feet don't sit flat. As soon as you can only basically stand him with his added tension, like with his legs like that, because then he's flat. As soon as he starts spreading his legs, then his feet are angled on the floor. They're not resting because he should have a little joint to turn his ankle like every other toy in my collection has. His movement is okay. Like, surprisingly, look how even with those big shoulder pads, he can still get his arm up almost a full 90 degrees to the side. But again, look how loose that is. It just like flops right down.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like the quality of the product, like it's a really nice figure, but it's like they rush to put them out and they don't consider quality control on some of that. As a collector, that pisses me off. That you have this loosey goosey.
Especially all these waves. Like by the time you're at like wave 3 or whatever,
you should have that nailed.
Yeah. Like, there's no reason that this couldn't be a ratchet joint to move his legs, to click, 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 to get him to lock in place. And, like, look, he's got a massive gun on his forearm. But do you think his arm is going to, like, if I wanted to display him on my shelf, like, surprisingly, it doesn't immediately fall to its side. But, like, that's not going to,
not going to hold.
He's not going to retain
it's
that.
It's like that pose. Titan Joker I have. It's just going to fall.
Yeah. So, like, you need kind of a ratchet joint to really hold that pose. So yeah, he looks great. I wish he was a little more purple, because in the comic books he was always depicted as purple, and this is purple, but it's almost black.
Well, I'm colorblind, so I can tell that's like a fuchsia.
Yeah, he's got like kind of a bright, almost pink highlights. There's a couple of pinky, like fuchsia highlights running through him, but the base outfit, I like the purple that Hasbro used a lot better than what Super 7 used. So yeah, there's that. Now for accessories, this is another thing that kind of pisses me off. So Tarn, it was kind of a mystery in the comic book what his identity is, because he wears this faceplate, which again I thought was such a cool idea, because it's the Decepticon logo, which the Autobots and the Decepticons have these face logos, and nobody ever really asked like what do those faces represent? What are those supposed to be? So the fact that Tarn wears the Decepticon emblem as his face, I was like, how cool is that? How does they never thought of doing that before? But it was always a mystery, like who is this guy going around killing all these old Decepticons? And it was a mystery reveal that when in kind of the big final battle, they took his mask off and they found out what Transformer he was, which he was another character that we'd met earlier in the series. And anyway, so having a removable mask seems like an obvious function. The Hasbro one does not have a removable mask. I actually have a third-party Tarn that I bought. Now, it's a really cool toy, but it's only about like this big. He's like the size of a GoBot. But he had a removable mask that could snap into place, which was super cool. But anyway, this guy, he comes with an unmasked head. Here's my little bag of accessories these guys came with. So even though this is a lot of stuff, this is the accessories for 3 figures. So it is nowhere near what it was for Wave 1. There's no surfboard here. There's no basketball.
It's like hands and heads.
It's mostly hands and weapons and stuff. So yeah, he has an unmasked head. So you can see his kind of scarred face there.
Remind me of what his name was.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a really well-known... It's not like it was Prowl or something.
Yeah.
It was like... Yeah, it was just some other random dude. But anyway, he comes with the removable mask. So that's great that you have a face, you have the mask, but all it would take is like a little peg to click it. It doesn't. This mask can only be used for him to hold in his hand. So if you wanted to display him with the unmasked head, and then you could have him holding his mask in his hand, like, look, I just revealed who I am. But like, why doesn't this click in place? Because really, you wouldn't even need an alternate head then. You could have just given me this head. This would take a little peg that clicks in, and then I wouldn't even need the masked head because this would double as that. And it just seems like such an easy fix. And this is, like I said, an $80 figure in Canada, and you can't give me a little, like, it's so dumb. And then he's got a bunch of hands. So he's got closed fists and open hands and gripping hands, but I don't really care about any of that stuff. So, yeah, that's why it's such a mixed bag. Like, he looks awesome. Most of my toys, once I review them, they just go on the shelf and they stand there. He's going to look great standing on my shelf. No doubt. I would say he probably looks greater than this guy. He's just got that bigger physique. He's menacing. But again, this guy just feels more bang for my buck. This guy was like $30 Canadian. Yeah. This guy was like $80 Canadian. Now, mind you, my brother got him for me, and he got him on sale. So I think he ended up costing my brother about 60 Canadian, but still not cheap.
I mean, it just goes back to what we were talking about a couple episodes ago with, like Jada Toys, and I know we always come back to Jada Toys, like how good the quality is for that toy at that price point. And then there's those other figures you got, like Were Dragon, and you can make that for $15, or you can make it and sell it for $15. That's a solid figure. Those were solid figures.
Yeah,
and
we're talking like a couple episodes ago.
Like
I got
cheapy.
At Walmart. I got these like Sega figures based
Yeah.
on Altered Beast and Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Super articulated, $15 Canadian. Yeah, I don't know how come I'm paying $100 for this sort of thing.
And it's
all loose.
Has so many problems with it.
Yeah, so I love it, but I'm very disappointed with it at the same time. It's such a double-edged sword.
You were kind of my guinea pig with the Ultimate figures, though, because you had started collecting them and showed me, like, yeah, these are awesome figures. You've complained about the articulation and some of the loose features since day one, which is kind of why I stayed away from them. Like, I have a couple of the Turtle ones, and I now have Starscream and Destro, so I've not been actively collecting and
But they've done
Prince
some
John,
incredible ones. Like, I think most of the Turtle ones are great. Sure, there have been some loose joints and stuff on them, but like the Mutagen Man was like my toy of the year a couple of years ago. The Bebop was great. From the Conan figures, the Thulsa Doom was on my best of the year list last year. Like, I've been pleased with most of the Conans. Mumra was great.
Monkeyin was kind of cool.
Yeah, most of the Thundercats are cool. They have had some other problems too, like
Lino, stupid orange Lino.
No, Tigra.
Tigra, sorry.
Yeah, Lino came out okay.
Yeah.
Tigra I was excited about because the pre-orders looked one way, but then the actual product, the paint was way darker and I didn't like it.
You look.
But like the Mumra, as cool as Mumra is, he's got all these different hands, but they fall right out of his wrists. So like, and you especially need them to hold on his wrist because he's got a cape that's held on by his wrist, so you need those hands to keep that cape. But I find his hands just fall out of his wrists, and it's like, come on. So like, there are problems with them, but they look so nice on a shelf. They're big, they're imposing. Like, if you wanted a Mumra to just display on your shelf because you were a Thundercats fan when you were a kid, you're not going to find anything better than Super 7. Oh man.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm good.
Don't die on me here, man.
No, I'm good. My God, that's strong.
That is strong. I know. It's like if I just poured us a glass of vodka and just, I can drink whiskey, but even whiskey I usually put on ice.
Yeah. I'll go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Stay in school, kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I started coughing because that hit me by surprise. It was like I only took a little sip.
Yeah, it's strong. Okay, so another one I got. So I bought myself 2 Ultimates right before Christmas last year. And this one, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, what are you doing, man? I should be spending money on wasteful figures. And sure, I know, you could argue like these are all waste or whatever, but whatever. If you're watching this, you're probably a toy collector yourself.
Yeah.
We love these things. I love toys, but I do have to draw the line somewhere. Like, just because I have, a Starscream or something, and then all of a sudden they change his eye color from red to blue. I'm like, I don't need to buy a second Star. Like, that's over the top. I have to draw the line somewhere. I love Optimus Prime. I've got a very cool Ultimates Optimus Prime already. I already have a really cool transforming Optimus Prime, plus I have a reaction figure. I've got lots of Optimus Primes in my collection. This here is dead Optimus Prime. This here is from the scene in the movie from 1986. I want to say
86.
85 or 86. It might have been 85 and the G.I. Joe was 86. I don't know. Anyway, from the mid-80s, they did the Transformers animated movie where a lot of the characters from the first 2 seasons of the show died off so they could replace them with new characters to sell new toys. And somehow the people that made these movies didn't think that they were going to traumatize children by killing off
exactly what happened.
all these characters that we loved. So Optimus Prime dies, and then Hot Rod, the new young hotshot who they just introduced in the movie, he becomes Rodimus Prime. But yeah, having seen Optimus Prime die would have been like watching Hulk Hogan die. Like it was like, what? This guy's my hero. Anyways, traumatic. And as sad as it was to see him, because he had a big long scene, some of the other characters just kind of like got killed off screen, or you just saw their corpse laying on the floor, and you're like, what
happened?
Like Ratchet? No, like anyway. So it was a memorable moment. So the fact they made an action figure of him dead, like that is very scene specific.
Yeah.
It's not like if I was a kid, if I had like, what do I play with dead Optimus Prime? Like he would basically just be laying there on a slab. Now, if he was $10, sure.
Yeah.
When he's $80, I should probably have my head examined. But it's a very cool look.
It is. I like the cracked windshield.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's a lot like the other figure I have, but it's not just a grayscale repaint. There are some like newly sculpted pieces, which I know it's hard for you to tell from here, but I'll do a side by side close up. Whoop. But yeah, like his windshields are cracked. He's got all these kind of cracks throughout him. His head is different. He's got his kind of bent little horns there. And the thing is, Hasbro did a version of this. They took the Siege version of Optimus and released them like this. But I think it was an online exclusive, and I tried to get it, but it sold out on me too quickly. And then they also did him in reaction figure.
Yes.
But I think it was a Target exclusive, and I was never able to get it. And then they did do another reaction figure, which we did have here at Toys R Us. But it was his chest was open.
Yeah.
So these two little panels on his front were open like this, and they were permanently, like you couldn't close them. And at the time, I was collecting reaction figures, but I didn't have them on display yet. So I would buy them and I'd put them in a bin. And I'm like, those are going to break off immediately. So I'm like, I wanted the one with the doors closed, but again, he was only available in Target, and I missed him. So because I was bitter about missing the reaction figure, which would have cost me like $25, I ended up going for the big one for $80. So anyway,
makes logical sense.
Yeah, I know. But he is cool. Like I like this toy a lot. It's harder to be as mad at this guy for not having the articulation because he's dead. What does he need to articulate for? But his panels do open up.
Super cool.
And then there's another panel. I don't know if I can. This panel inside flips down. And then he's got the Matrix of Leadership, which you can remove. So you can give that to Hot Rod. And yeah, it's a cool figure. I think he came with some alternate hands and stuff too. I don't know why you'd really need them, but just an excuse to like say, oh look, he's got accessories.
Let's put the price point on.
Like same as he's got a gun. You see him holding his gun, but really he wouldn't be holding his gun.
Yeah, he's not holding his
gun. There's a big gash on the side there. That's pretty cool.
So cool.
Again, I think it looks great. I'm not disappointed with it at all. If anything, this might be one of the least disappointing ones because I didn't expect it to be much. I already had the Optimus Prime. I knew what to expect articulation wise. Plus he's dead, so he doesn't need to be articulated. He just needs to look cool. And I think the paint job, it all relied on the paint job, and they nailed it.
I love the white
Autobot
symbol there on his shoulder. It's so cool.
Yeah, so he looks really cool. I was very, very pleased with Optimus.
Game on!
All right, another sip.
Oh, holy God!
I know. It's like it's getting stronger. So I did pour this right out of the freezer, as was recommended to serve it cold. I feel like the warmer it gets, the stronger it gets.
Yeah. Oh, man. I have like heartburn.
All right. Yeah, don't die on me.
Oh, I won't die. Don't worry.
All right, so I have one more Ultimate figure that I'm going to talk about. Although I do realize I kind of get ahead of myself. So with Tarn, he did come with one other accessory I didn't talk about, which was a very cool accessory because it's basically a whole other figure. So he comes with Nickel. This is a female Transformer, and she was also a member of the Decepticon Justice Division. It was an odd choice because most of the DJD were like big, scary guys, and then they had this like little lady,
friendly looking,
and I think she was even like maybe leading them. She didn't show up when they first appeared, but she showed up in like their later appearances, and I was like, I don't know about this Nickel one. She looks like again kind of cute, but Nickel, it was an original creation, as were the entire DJD. So we might never get official figures of the other members, and some of them were really cool looking. So the fact that like they put Nickel as a pack in with him for the same price, he was still 55 American. They didn't, and she has some articulation, like her arms move. She swivels at the waist, not a lot, but you wouldn't expect this thing to have a lot because it's pretty much just a little.
That's the one thing I will give credit to Super 7 for. If they add like additional things, they don't up the price.
Yeah, and that's when like we talked in our last episode about Star Wars Black Series. You pay $35 for a Luke Skywalker or an R2-D2 or an Ewok. It doesn't matter how big the character is. But when they make a bigger figure, they charge you more.
Or like a Gamorrean guard. Those are like almost $60-something dollars.
But like with Ultimates, what they've said is like, sure, you're paying $55 for maybe a smaller character, but you're also paying $55 for the larger characters. We try and like balance it across the whole wave.
Yep.
So if you're somebody that only is buying the smaller figure, you might feel a little ripped off. But if you're buying the whole wave, it should kind of balance out. So anyway, yeah, I think it was pretty cool that they gave us a whole other character with Tarn. So yeah, very cool. And another thing I want to talk about is I'm not a box collector. I already have more boxes laying around the house than I would like. I need to throw more of these out.
But they're so nice.
So many of the boxes are nice. I know. And Super 7 makes some of the nicest boxes. So, like with these ones here, here's the dead Optimus Prime box.
Yeah.
So you've got Optimus Prime.
Out.
Yeah, it's kind of like wireframe. Then you've got the Autobot symbol on the back. Then you slide it off. That's where the figure was. And then you've got like the little file card on the back that shows you his like all his rankings, and you can see he's pretty much zero. Yeah, well, he's zeroed out, I think.
Yeah. Dead.
Or maybe I don't know. Maybe that is supposed to be maxed out. I guess it's probably the same stats that were on the original Optimus Prime, because he's got almost all the bars are filled. I was seeing that as empty, but it's probably full.
Yeah, I think it's full.
Anyway, now as nice as these boxes are, I actually don't think they're as nice as the earlier waves, which you'll see. So this guy was from, let's say, call it Wave 3, Wave 4. Tarn was from Wave 2 or whatever the earlier wave was.
That's a nice box.
And yeah, so these ones have the same wireframe, but it's all in this like reflective
purple.
Yeah, reflective purple. Optimus Prime from Wave 1 was red. Like Bludgeon was like orange or something. Like they have different colors, so it looks really nice when the light reflects off of it. Same on the back. You got that Decepticon symbol and that like metallic-y green. Yeah, you slide that off.
Excuse me.
You've got Tarn there. Again, the figure was there. So yeah, these are really nice with these like kind of foil graphics on the front there. Very nice. So I am going to throw out these boxes. I've been sitting on them for the last 2 months because I wanted to make sure I shared them on camera before I destroy them. But the last figure we're going to talk about is from the same wave as the dead Optimus Prime. So this is everybody's favorite tape deck, Soundwave. So he's got the blue wireframe art, and then he's got his kind of file card on the back. Not nearly as tough as Optimus. His speed is way down. That's probably because he doesn't have any wheels. He uses a cassette. How fast can a tape deck really be?
Not so fast.
Fast forward.
Fast as fuck, boy!
I don't know what that is.
It's from some stupid viral thing. Man, that is... Whew.
Yep.
This is definitely it for me tonight.
Yeah. All right, Soundwave. Ultimate Soundwave. And I think he looks great. He looks like he just stepped right out of an animation cell.
Did Vanessa get that one for you?
No, I bought it.
I bought it, right.
I bought it for myself.
Yeah, she did like this one, though.
She did, yeah. So yeah, he's super cool. Like, again, I love Transformers. And I have a really cool Soundwave on my Transformer collection from the Siege line.
Yeah.
But again, he's kind of busy. His paint job's a little busy. He's got a lot of articulation. He's got some kibble on him because you have to fold pieces. But when you've got these animated ones, like you don't have any kibble, you don't have any extra paint. It's nice and smooth and clean. And that's the appeal of these things.
Yeah. He was one of my favorite Decepticons. He's right under Starscream.
Yeah, he is awesome. So again, this guy standing on my shelf, looks incredible. Now, I do have the red series version of Soundwave that I wanted to bring out as a comparison. So again, he's very cool too. He doesn't look quite as animated looking, but that wasn't really the intent with these guys. They were just supposed to be non-transforming. So side by side, again, this guy just looks cleaner. He's so much bigger. I love the bulk of these guys. Like the scale for these guys, these were 6 inches, but even for 6-inch figures, they're kind of small. Like you stand this next to a G.I. Joe Classified, and the G.I. Joe Classified is taller and bulkier. And it just seemed a little off. Whereas like this guy, I could stand him next to a G.I. Joe Classified, and at least he's a head taller and he's bulkier. And that scale doesn't match the cartoon, because in the cartoon, Soundwave would have been like 30 feet tall. But it just helps to when you stand him next to another 6-inch figure, to have him be bigger and tower over him, it helps. So
well, it's like Spike on Optimus, right? Like the little tiny.
Yeah, that would be the scale. So yeah, you can't really stand that Optimus Prime next to any other figure in my collection, even like a 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe. The scale's off. But yeah, when you've got a G.I. Joe that's taller than a Transformer, it really seems weird. Yeah. So anyway, of the two, they're both really good figures, but this version wins out. But he does have some of the same problems. Now his arm, surprisingly, he can get. Look how good his arm goes out.
That's probably one of the best.
Yeah, his arms can go right out like that. He's not loose, like, and it looks like he's really not though. Like there's good. Can hold his legs can hold their pose. The elbow, it's pretty much 90 degrees.
Yeah,
I'd say it's probably about 85 degrees. So yeah, this is one of the better ones as far as the movement goes.
When you were shaking him, it just reminded me of like when police do the impaired driving test. It's like, hold your hands out and try to walk. That's never happened to me, nor will it ever. But
maybe tonight. Yeah, you don't have far to go.
No, I don't.
Plus, I'm going to keep you here for a little while. We're going to watch a movie or something. So
yeah, we are.
Don't worry. But anyway, so some flaws with this guy. He came with some cool accessories, including his gun. So I've got his gun here in his gun hand, and just like the vintage toy, it's got this little telescoping like piece that comes out. The reason he's not holding it is because I can't get his hands out of the.
And nor would I try.
Yeah, when you pull this thing and it is not giving, like I could maybe try blowing it with a hairdryer and stuff. I haven't attempted that yet. But man, if I don't want to break it.
You're going to pull a super shredder.
Yeah, let's think. You've got a super shredder with his finger broken.
No, my sister took it back and returned it.
But like, it just super sucks breaking anything. Like again, this figure, $80, $90 figure. If I'm trying to change out his hand, and I'm kind of just changing it for like to take a picture for Instagram or to show you guys, and I break it, it's like
that's a pain in the ass, especially if it breaks in the socket.
Yeah, so I just figured, you know what? It won't come out easy. I'm not going to change it. But I especially wouldn't care if he had his gun holding hand in his hand. I'd be like, you know what? I'll never put his open palms or his fists. But the fact that he's got both of his closed fists in, and that's probably what he's going to be stuck with for eternity now. It's like, I want him to hold his gun. He's got a gun. Like, he also comes with a miniature version of himself, which is cool. His tape deck mode. But I wish he kind of had some. I wish you could put that somewhere.
Yeah, would have been cool if like his chest opened up. You could store it in his chest.
Well, his chest does open up.
Oh,
I'll get to that in a moment. He has 2 alternate heads. He has this head, which matches the vintage toy from the 80s, which is very cool because both.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, like Optimus Prime and Starscream both have vintage heads, right?
Yeah.
So that's very cool. I went with the cartoon head,
Yep.
but like I love the fact that I could put this head on him and display him next to my vintage toy, and they would match up.
Yeah.
Now they have this head here, which is odd, as it's yellow goggles with a mouth and nose.
Yeah. See, when I saw that, it reminded me of the Starscream face because he's got that like half smirk that Starscream has. But it's a super weird head to include.
Well, my understanding is that this, they say, is the Marvel Comics head.
Yeah.
Now, I have all the Marvel Comics.
I don't remember that.
He had his normal faceplate, but it maybe in the early issues, maybe they drew him like this.
Okay.
It is possible. There were lots of little screw ups in the comic books where they would miscolor somebody or whatever. So if he really did have a mouth and nose in the comic books or something, and they included the head, cool. Again, it didn't up the price or anything. I can't imagine there's anybody out there that's gonna be like, I want to display Soundwave with a mouth and nose, because like
that's not Soundwave.
That's just not Soundwave. But anyway, it's cool, I guess, as an option. So those are his accessories. He also came with an Energon cube, which is kind of cool, I guess. Just an empty little clear cube.
Did they put out a Blaster Ultimate?
No.
Okay.
So here's my last little gripe about him is, he's a tape deck. Every version of him has a little button on his shoulder where the cassette pops out. So even this like red version here, he's got a little thing. Now if I click that, let's see. That one also doesn't fly. You kind of have to pry it with your fingers.
Yeah. Still
and there's a little cassette tape in there that you can take out. But like the vintage toy, you click the button and it's just went pop, popped right out. This guy here, if I press the button, like again, it barely opens. It just kind of like, it's almost like unlocking a car door. It's like, okay, I know it's open now, but now I
have to do it.
And so you go open it up, and he's got a cassette in there, but the cassette is hard to get to. But you do, and there he's got a little laser beak cassette. So I guess that's cool. But if you don't put it in there just so, I find it gets stuck in there. And then it's very hard to get, the thing won't open if the thing's not lined up properly. So again, that's a pain in the ass. So even now I'm struggling to get him in there properly. So yeah, like how hard is it to make a button that works? Like have his chest open up. Let him hold his gun. So yeah, is he worth $85? I don't know. But I am still disappointed. Like him, Optimus Prime, Bludgeon, Grimlock, like they've been really great figures. They look like amazing display pieces. Despite all their flaws, once you're done fiddling around with them and you put them on your shelf, they look amazing.
Yeah.
And for that reason, going forward, and obviously I started after Wave 1, I started getting picky and choosy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Originally, I thought I might go all in on these things because I thought, oh, well, they'll put out waves of 4, maybe twice a year. That's expensive, but I can afford it. But no, after I saw the quality of them, I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep buying characters like Tron. I never would have bought him originally if I realized the quality of these things was going to be so spotty. So Bombshell, Tron, Bludgeon. I think those are the other ones I have. Anyway. But yeah, I'm sad if this line is dead because I think characters like Shockwave would look really cool. Like, yeah, I wouldn't buy every character. Like, they would probably do Prowl and Mirage, and I would pass on all those guys. But when it came to like just certain characters, like my absolute favorites, I would definitely want them, and they would look just like the definitive versions of those characters to stand on my shelf.
What would sell me into that line is if they put out all the Constructicons, or did a Devastator version.
Oh,
like
Devastator would be like huge.
But I mean, if they did like the Devastator in that same scale, just like so the Devastator,
an 8-inch.
Yeah, they made the appendages look like the vehicles. But let's not go there because actually, speaking of that, did you see that they released?
Yes, a second pack of Constructicons. Because, in 2025, Hasbro is releasing the Constructicons again.
Yeah, which I pre-ordered.
Some of them are single-carded, and then just the other day, today, they released a 2-pack with Hook and Long Haul, which form his head and his chest. It's already sold out on GameStop, so I missed it. Where did you pre-order from?
Big Bad.
Big Bad. That's another one where I'm like, I want these figures. I'm tempted to order them from Big Bad, but I feel they will probably be available on Amazon or something later.
Yeah.
Now I'm maybe I'll feel bad, like, because if I miss out on them entirely and they become hard to find, I'll be kicking myself because I could have bought them on Big Bad and locked it in. It's just I hate buying on Big Bad knowing I'm going to cancel the pre-order later. So anyway,
but times are tough, man. You gotta do you.
Times are tough. So yeah, but I am excited for the new Constructicons from Hasbro because, as I've said before, I have all I have the version of Devastator they released in Combiner Wars, which is a very impressive, a big figure like this once he's all combined. But as a kid, I preferred the Constructicons as individual characters. I played with them more that way because the vintage toy, when you put Devastator together, he was so fragile you couldn't do anything with him. As soon as anybody punched him, he fell apart. So I found I played with the individual characters like Scrapper and Scavenger. And so when I get a combiner, I'm like, well, Devastator looks great on my shelf, but now I don't have a Scrapper or a Long Haul. So I'm going to keep my Titans Return version or Combiner Wars, whatever it is, up there on my shelf. But then I'd like to get these new versions that I can display as individuals. It just sucks how much more expensive they are now than they were back in the Combiner Wars days. Because individually these figures probably would have been $20 to $30 back then, and now they're like 50.
More than that.
Yeah. Anyway. Yep. I don't think I have anything more Transformer wise. So thanks for joining me for this Ultimates episode.
No problem. It was ultimate.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm probably gonna pour another glass of this stuff.
Ooh, so I am okay.
To my own demise.
I am okay, my friend. Actually, we were talking about G.I. Joe Classifieds briefly at the start of this episode.
Were we?
Maybe it was at the end of the other one.
Yeah.
But I know a guy through the G.I. Joe Classified Canada page, Rolando. Spoken about him a couple times on the channel. He saved my ass with the Joes that GameStop fucked me over on. So thank you, Rolando. He's actually keeping them on hold for me until I can pay him. He knows things are tight with the business launch in five days. So
you guys are pretty tight, are you? You and Rolando. He knows about your business and all this.
He knows about the business, but we're friends on Facebook though, so he sees a lot of the stuff. And
okay.
So he hooked me up with those, with the exception of Leatherneck. Leatherneck I'll probably have to pre-order on Big Bad. I know it's still up there. But the other three he got me, and he saved me Chameleon as well. So I canceled my Big Bad Toy Store Chameleon, and I'm going to end up with it cheaper. So
okay, cool.
Thank you, Rolando.
Yep, shout out Rolando. Yep, so I guess that's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button. Leave us comments below. See you next time.
See you next time. Keep it locked.
Ciao.